young lives lost in the shadows of time. Their stories are haunting, their fates shrouded in mystery. What happened to Theresa Allore and Manon Dube remains unanswered, but tonight we'll uncover the chilling details. If you're drawn to mysteries that refuse to be silenced, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Now let's begin. On the surface, Lennoxville, Quebec, in the late 1970s, was a quiet and peaceful place, a town where life seemed simple and safe. But beneath its calm exterior lurked a sinister truth. Two young girls vanished within months of each other, their tragic fates leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. First, there was Theresa Allore, a bright college student who disappeared one chilly November night in 1978. Months later, her body was discovered just a short distance from her dormitory, her death shrouded in mystery and failure. And then there was Manon Dube, a 10-year-old girl who vanished on her way home in March of 1978, only for her lifeless body to be found weeks later in a shallow creek. Two lives stolen too soon, two cases that, to this day, remain unsolved. Tonight, we'll dive deep into the chilling mysteries of Theresa Allore and Manon Dube, two girls connected by a tragic past and the eerie possibility of something far more sinister. Stay with us as we uncover the facts, the theories, and the questions that still haunt the eastern townships of Quebec. And before we begin, if you love stories like these, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's begin. Theresa Allore was more than just a name in a police file. She was a vibrant, ambitious 19-year-old with her whole life ahead of her. Raised in a loving family, Theresa was the youngest of three siblings and had a particularly close bond with her older brother John. She was the kind of person who left a mark on everyone she met, kind, creative, and always smiling. In the fall of 1978, Theresa enrolled at Champlain College, Lennoxville, a small English language college in Quebec. The campus was quiet, the kind of place where students felt safe leaving their dorms unlocked. But as Theresa settled into her new life, no one could have imagined that this peaceful town would soon become the backdrop for one of Canada's most haunting mysteries. It was November 3rd, 1978, a typical autumn day in Lennoxville, Quebec. The crisp air carried the faint scent of falling leaves, and the quiet college town hummed with the energy of students immersed in campus life. Theresa Allore, a freshman at Champlain College, Lennoxville, had spent the day going about her usual routine. She attended her classes, laughed with friends, and, by all accounts, seemed like her cheerful, lively self. But as the evening fell, Theresa's presence vanished like a wisp of smoke. Her absence wasn't immediately noticed. College life often comes with late nights and unpredictable schedules. But as the hours stretched into the next day, concern began to creep in. Theresa wasn't in her dorm, she hadn't shown up to her classes, and none of her friends had seen her. Her family was alarmed when they learned of her disappearance. They knew Theresa. She wasn't someone who would simply take off without telling anyone. She was responsible, grounded, and had no history of reckless behavior. But when they contacted the local authorities, they were met with indifference. The police dismissed Theresa's disappearance as a case of a young woman likely blowing off steam or running away. Imagine the frustration and fear of her family, knowing deep down that something was wrong, but unable to convince anyone to act. Every passing day felt like an eternity. Her father, Andre, and brother John clung to hope, but the lack of urgency from law enforcement weighed heavily on them. No formal searches were conducted, no alerts were raised. In the eyes of the system, Theresa's case was not a priority, and so weeks turned into months. With no sign of Theresa and no answers to the burning question, where had she gone? The snow had melted, giving way to the damp chill of early spring. It was April 13th, 1979, over 5 months since Theresa had vanished without a trace. A local man walking near a remote wooded area stumbled upon something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. At first, he thought it was just debris left behind by the changing seasons. But as he drew closer, the horrifying truth became clear. There, tangled in the underbrush, lay the remains of a young woman. It was Theresa. Her body was found just 1 kilometer from her dormitory, a mere stone's throw from the place she was last seen alive. She was wearing only her underwear, her lifeless form a stark contrast to the vibrant young woman her family remembered. The condition of her remains suggested she had been there for some time, exposed to the brutal elements of a Quebec winter. The discovery should have sparked a thorough and urgent investigation, but instead it only deepened the mystery. The police quickly concluded that her death was accidental. They suggested she had died of exposure, perhaps after wandering into the woods while intoxicated or under the influence of drugs. It was a theory that seemed to disregard the troubling details of the scene. Why would Theresa, a responsible and level-headed young woman, leave her dorm late at night, walk into the freezing woods, and remove her clothing? And why wasn't her disappearance treated with more urgency when her family first reported her missing? The Allore family refused to accept the authorities' explanation. To them, the evidence told a different story, a story of violence and foul play. But the police had already made up their minds, and the case was effectively closed. Yet questions lingered like a dark cloud over Lennoxville. How could a young woman disappear so suddenly and meet such a tragic end, only for her death to be brushed aside as an accident? And why was no one asking the hard questions that needed answers? The discovery of Theresa's body was not the end of her story. In many ways, it was only the beginning. Two haunting mysteries connected by eerie similarities and unanswered questions. If you're as captivated by these stories as we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. There's more to uncover. Let's dive in. Years later, her brother John began his own investigation. What he uncovered painted a disturbing picture, not just of Theresa's case, but of several others in the area. Theresa's death wasn't the only unsolved case in the area. Just months earlier, in March of 1978, another young girl had vanished under eerily similar circumstances. Her name was Manon Dube, and her story is just as haunting. It was January the 27th, 1978, a typical winter evening in Sherbrooke, Quebec. 10-year-old Manon Dube and her 7-year-old sister, Chantal, were enjoying the simple pleasure of sledding with friends, just 3 blocks from their home on Rubienville. As dusk settled around 7:30 p.m., the sisters decided to head home. Chantal, eager to escape the cold, ran ahead, leaving Manon to follow. This seemingly innocuous decision would mark the last time Manon was seen alive. When Manon failed to arrive home, her mother, Janine Dubé, was immediately alarmed and reported her missing. The police acted swiftly, disseminating a bulletin with Manon's photograph and organizing a substantial search effort. 16 officers, accompanied by 2 tracker dogs, scoured the nearby woods, while another team conducted door-to-door inquiries along Rubienville. Community volunteers on snowmobiles extended the search between Sherbrooke and Saint-Élie-d'Orford. The urgency was palpable, especially after Chantal revealed that just a week prior, she and a cousin had been followed by someone in a dark Buick, a detail that cast a sinister shadow over Manon's disappearance. As days turned into weeks, hope waned. Then on March 24, 1978, Good Friday, 2 teenagers from Montreal made a grim discovery. In a secluded area near Ayers Cliff, approximately 19 miles from Sherbrooke, they found Manon's lifeless body face down in a partially frozen stream. She was still dressed in her winter attire, though one red mitten and her toque were missing. A gash marred her forehead, possibly inflicted by jagged ice, and she had suffered broken bones. Authorities estimated that her body had been in the stream for most of the 2 months she was missing. Despite the concerning circumstances, the official conclusion was ambiguous. The cause of death was undetermined, with suggestions ranging from accidental drowning to exposure. However, the lack of water in her lungs and the presence of injuries raised unsettling questions. Some speculated she might have been struck by a vehicle and her body disposed of in the stream. Others feared she had been abducted and met with foul play. The community was left in a state of fear and confusion, grappling with the possibility that a predator was lurking among them. In 2001, after years of silence, Manon's sister urged the police to reopen the case. The reinvestigation, however, yielded no new leads, and the case once again went cold. The haunting parallels between Manon's death and the unsolved cases of Theresa Allore and Louise Cameron led some experts, including geographic profiler Kim Rosmo, to suggest the chilling possibility of a serial offender operating in the area during the late 1970s. Yet, without concrete evidence, these cases remain unresolved, leaving families and communities yearning for closure. Theresa Allore and Manon Dube, two names, two stories, and two tragedies that remain etched in the fabric of Quebec's history. Their lives, though cut short, remind us of the fragility of safety and the mysteries that linger just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. The quiet streets of Lennoxville and Sherbrooke have long since moved on, but the echoes of these unsolved cases still ripple through time, a chilling reminder that some questions may never have answers. Perhaps that's the most unsettling truth of all, that even in the most familiar places, darkness can lurk unnoticed, leaving scars that time cannot erase. And so, as we close the pages of this story tonight, we are left to wonder, how many secrets remain hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? Stay safe and keep your eyes open. The truth might be closer than we think. Thank you for joining us tonight on Haunt, Fear, Horror, Stories We Dare Not Tell. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who love diving into unsolved mysteries. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow for another chilling story that dares to go where others fear to tread.